So Tom, this week we are back at the water cooler.
Yes, we are.
Episode 4 of The Mandalorian. You and I both thought it was a filler, even though our opinions diverged a little bit. Tom thought it was a lot more filler than I actually did. I actually felt this episode had some more teeth to it than the snow spiders. So Tom, why don't you start us down the path of what transpired in Mandalorian episode 4 of season 2?
So we pick up from episode 3 after he's been told by Bo-Katan to look for Ahsoka Tano. But if you remember, his ship was in a state of turmoil, and he realizes that his ship is not going to make it. So he decides to go back to the planet. I don't believe, no, that wasn't Tatooine. It was the Bounty Hunter planet.
The Bounty Hunters Guild, or can you call it a home world or the
No, it's
base
not
of
the
operations?
for the last Bounty Hunters Guild. So he goes back to that planet where he meets up with Carl Weathers' character, what's his name?
Grief Karga.
Right, Grief Karga, and Gina Carano's character, Cara Dune. And when he gets there, he sees that Grief Karga, who's now more like a mayor, has changed the whole dynamic of the town, which was like maybe like an outlaw post for bounty hunters, into more of a port, like a
It looks like they have more of a society there.
Yeah.
They have commerce that doesn't involve the trades of prisoners. they have a school. They have different. It looks like he's actually trying to build something there.
So yeah, Karga Grief Karga is really trying to turn the city around. When when Din Djarin comes back to this planet, he basically wants repairs for his ship, and he's going to head over to Ahsoka Tano. Grief Karga asks him to help them investigate and take out the last Imperial base that is
not so much investigate. He just asked them to take out so they could steal whatever they have to actually sell. They ended up investigating by chance.
Right. So they go to this base, and when they get there, as they're getting ready to detonate the whole thing.
Well, wait a minute. No, you're glancing over one quick part. Cara Dune, Gina Carano's character, says, "Why don't we leave the Baby Yoda at the school that they have?" And for some reason, you think Baby Yoda is never fed because he's always hungry. And for a little person, he has a very ginormous appetite.
He's a growing boy. He's a growing baby.
And for the first time this season, we actually see him use his force powers. It was a kid eating a sort of cookie, and he wanted it, and the kid told him no. And you never tell someone that is force sensitive no, because what did he do? He took the whole pack of cookies when he could have just gave him one.
Yes, I did speed over that small scene. It was really funny, as usual.
It was his only scene. It was his only scene so far this season of him demonstrating his force powers. Yes. In case you forgot.
Yes,
as you were.
As I was. So we're on the Imperial base. They go to the core. They set the lava to basically destroy the base itself. And as they're trying to escape, they come to this laboratory section in the military base. What they realize, at first they think it's an old message that's being sent or old information. When they see it's the actual man that was going to do experiments on the child. And but upon further inspection, they realized that this message was sent 3 days ago to Moff Gideon.
And who they all thought was deceased.
Yes. And so now Din Djarin is pretty stressed, and now they realize they have to get out of there. Also, what you see not only is the data, but these tubes with humanoid figures in them.
It almost looks as if if I would say there was cloning experiments,
Right, cloning experiments.
sort of a precursor to what we saw in what was it, the Last Skywalker. What was the name of the final Star Wars film again?
The Rise of Skywalker.
The Rise of Skywalker, sort of a precursor to the tube that we saw, the clone version of Snoke.
Right.
And for those of you who aren't familiar with the Legend novels, how it was told to you was that the Emperor used something called force meditation, where he would maneuver his admirals and head and leaders of his army to do things that he wanted to without them actually knowing. And me personally, I believe that the tools that we saw, the clone experiments being worked on, is a precursor to what Snoke eventually became.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was the direction they were heading. In with that, they also talked about trying to get the subjects midichlorian levels up.
They didn't say that word.
They said
said
the M level.
The M level.
levels, which we know is midichlorian.
You know, for some reason, Star Wars fans freak out whenever they hear that word. Midichlorians, they automatically start having visions of Jar Jar Binks for some odd reason.
Right. And so they were talking about they couldn't get their M levels higher because they needed more blood from the child. And so Mike really appreciated this aspect of the episode because it tied into the larger story. Now you understand what Moff Gideon is trying to do. Now you understand why they were looking for the child. Me, man, I'm like, after I saw the Mandalorians, the Clan Kryze, I wanted more action, but this was fine. And then the Din Djarin escapes, and Cara Dune and Grief Karga basically have to fight their way out. You know, it's a chase. They finally get out into the open, and Din Djarin comes back with his ship to destroy all of the remaining TIE fighters that are chasing them.
Well, this was Star Wars. In a nutshell, this was Star Wars, a group of friends on an adventure in which they seem to be able to kill every stormtrooper that's shooting at them, but meanwhile, the stormtrooper couldn't hit them if they were standing right in front of them.
Well, we already established in this world that the stormtrooper aim is pretty lacking.
Horrible.
Right. So it's fine. Like, they've already established they can't shoot.
I mean, which is amazing that they were still able to conquer so much of the known galaxy without being able to.
It's a whole lot of them. So
sheer numbers.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think what I did like was when the X-Wing fighter had approached Cara Dune and was talking to her about Alderaan. I like that throwback as well. That nod to
A New Hope.
Yeah. I think it's always cooler to me when they connect it to the older films.
The larger story.
Yeah, but I'm not so keen on when they connect it to the new trilogy, because honestly, in my heart of hearts, I'm hoping that they erase that. So if they keep making connections,
are you hoping that Star Wars somewhere has a Snyder cut?
No, there's no Snyder cut. I honestly just hope they go, you know what, we're like, let's just erase that. And
that didn't happen.
Yeah. So every time, so I'm not excited about any nods or any it's pointing into the direction of the new trilogy.
You know what I am excited about? The fact that they are letting you know that they all exist together, where the new trilogy acted as if they existed on their own.
Right.
It wasn't too much tie-in to anything that we've learned from Star Wars over the past 30 years or so.
Right. And the extended universe.
The extended universe. They essentially try to act as if none of that has happened. Whereas you see in Favreau's writing, he takes bits and pieces and he takes little morsels here and add it in, and you go, oh wow, oh cool. So people like Tom and myself feel appreciated.
Right.
We kept Star Wars alive in our heads and in novels and in comics, even though there weren't any films to speak of.
Right. It is rewarding, or you do feel this connection when they do put something out that it may not be the exact same thing, but like you remember reading about this and you had your own idea or your imagination crafted it in such a way. But then when you see them do it, and it's even cooler because they changed it to fit into this world. Real live action, it would be different, and so you appreciate that. But yeah, I found very little to appreciate with the new trilogy. But I don't want to go down the new trilogy path of
Yeah,
complaining about it.
this is a Mandalorian spoiler review.
Yeah. I mean, and then it ends with the Mandalorian saving his friends. His ship is fixed, and he.
No, it's not completely fixed. He left without them finishing.
Oh,
It
did
was
he?
still it was still a little shaky.
Uh,
It looked almost similar to the Millennium Falcon.
it looked well. It was 1,000 times better than when it got there, so I just thought it was it was good to go. We then see that Moff Gideon was communicating with the engineer, the mechanic that worked on Din Djarin's ship, and he planted a tracer on the Mandalorian ship. And also, they pull out, and you see all of these black uniforms. They're empty and they're just hanging there, but you see all of these kind of black stormtrooper uniforms. And what I took that to mean, uh, along with us seeing the scene of the lab, is that Moff Gideon is in some kind of way trying to create a force-sensitive army of clones.
And for those who don't know, that never usually ends up going well. From Tom and I reading the novels, cloning and force sensitive is a bad combination. It's like alcohol and milk. It's not something you
Right.
want to mix together.
Or alcohol and any kind of medication that says do not mix with alcohol.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to go well. But I personally believe that what we're going to come to find out is this is the Emperor planting the seeds of Snoke in Moff Gideon's head.
I really hope that is not what we we come. I hope this is a completely separate, isolated thing, so that 10 years from now we go, here's the new trilogy. Don't even forget about all of that, and like don't. Of course, Luke created a school for Jedi. Of course, he kept everything going. Of course, this is the way it was supposed to go, as opposed to what we saw.
It's a lot of hate, Tom. It's a lot of hate.
Yeah, it is. But I think, yeah, I think for me, this particular episode was not disappointing or bad. It's just that it's hard to follow. I hate that pacing. I feel like instead of it ramping up, it's kind of up and down, up and down.
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah, and so coming off of Clan Kreese and like understanding more about the Mandalorians and just no one could take down the Mandalorian team, and then coming to this, and it's kind of like we're making a city and we're gonna make it nice and da da da. It's like, oh, I mean, I guess you could do that too.
Well, no, in some aspects, your argument is correct. Me personally, I always think network shows could tell the story in 8 to 9 episodes.
Right.
I believe once you start to reach 2 episodes is when you have to make fillers. But it's not even applicable to this argument because there's only 8 episodes.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like we don't really need any fillers. Like every episode could be crazy.
Exactly. I also think it's better. I don't think it. I don't feel you would feel as affected you are with the filler episodes if you watched all 8 episodes combined.
Exactly. Yeah. Not like because like if this is slow, oh, okay. At the end of this 45 minutes, it's going to be a crazy episode. But it's kind of like it's excruciating to see a really good episode, wait a week, see a slow episode, and now you got to go a whole nother week hope that the next one is exciting.
Think about it. When you go to see a 2-hour action or sci-fi film, that is a good film. There are lows in the action.
Depends, because now think about, I'm going to give you a film that you liked. Judge Dredd with Carl Urban. There were no like
But
the lull was the beginning. Then
but that wasn't
to the top of that building.
That was just insane murdering people. I'm talking about a Marvel film that's 2 hours. There are
Okay.
parts when you are watching it at home, you go, I could fast forward here.
I don't really fast forward through films like that, but like not for that purpose.
Okay,
but,
I could look at a text or I could do something now
right,
while they having this scene in this bar or whatever.
Right, that's fair. That's fair.
And I believe John Favreau shoots The Mandalorian from the perspective of it's a feature film that's divided into 8 parts.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a
at least
bad
it wasn't
episode.
at least it wasn't space whales or snow spiders.
So when you say space whales, okay, space whales is from the series finale of Rebels. If you do not know,
It was not from the season finale. It was they came back in the season finale, but they had their own episode.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
Yeah. It was a pretty slow episode with space whales, and they're in tune with the Force. Ezra Bridger, like if you know anything about the Star Wars animated series, Rebels,
which you should watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Ahsoka Tano was a major part. Besides,
close to the end.
Yes, besides, and also in the Clone Wars too.
Oh, well, she was a main character in the Clone Wars, and she became a main character close to the end of Star Wars Rebels. If you haven't seen them, definitely check them. I saw half of Clone Wars, but I saw all of Rebels, and if you are a Star Wars fan and have never seen them, they're really worth your time.
Exactly.
So what are your thoughts on this particular? Like I said, I walk away. If I had to give it water coolers, I'd give it 3 out of 5.
I'll give it 4.
There you go. All right. Yeah.
I felt it wasn't as much filler or fluff as you said it was. I get a text at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's from Tommy. He goes,
I watched it at 5 a.m. I was like,
insinuating. He had me thinking that I was gonna just be sitting here falling asleep for 30 minutes.
I didn't fall asleep, but I wasn't like glued to the screen.
Exactly.
And just to give you some facts about some trivia about it, this episode is actually directed by Carl Weathers, who also played Grief Karga, and
is also known playing Apollo Creed.
Yes, that was his big break, from what I understand. And also the blue alien that was also seen in season 1 that was put in carbonite by the Mandalorian. His name was Mithral. That character is actually played by SNL alumni Horatio Sands. So, everyone wants to be a part of this series. And like, if they're in an alien suit, chances are they are famous in some other way.
Yep, chances are the only way you're gonna know it's them is when they post it on their social media page on Instagram or on Twitter.
Yep, so keep an eye out for that. But I mean, if you have anything else to say, Mike, like I said, very uneventful episode for me. So I'm pretty
a very eventful episode for me.
Okay, there you go. There it is. Very different opinions, but this has been the Mandalorian series.
Spoiler review for season 2, episode 4.
Peace.
You've been listening to Two Brothers at a Water Cooler with Mike and Tom, produced by Jamie Fernandez and Peter Bune. Rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts, and you might find your review in a future episode.